Will you please introduce yourself?
I'm Greg Muckelroy.
Yep.
All right, go for it.
And I'm Gloria Washington, Executive Director for the Texas African American Museum located here in Tyler, Texas.
Okay. And Greg, what do you do with the Texas African American Museum here?
I am a advisory board member, and I'm also a designer of historic exhibits.
Okay. So the Texas African American Museum is partnering with several people in the community to unveil a Rosenwald historical marker. So we want to talk about that today. And so what I think it would be beneficial for the viewers is to walk through the history of how we got here. And so you all brought some props, some very large props, I should say. What do you think would be beneficial for us to start with for the viewers to really get an understanding of how we got to this historical marker today?
Well, first of all, let me say that the Texas African American Museum is a program under the auspices of Empowerment Community Development Corporation, where our president is Stanley Kofer. And we are located at 309 West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Tyler, Texas. And Greg Muckelroy came on board with the Texas African American Museum as one of my advisory committee members about a year ago. And it has been very instrumental and helpful having him on board with us. So I will let Greg explain to you about the Rosenwald.
Okay, sounds good. Take it away, Greg.
Briefly, Rosenwald Schools were the older buildings that were built in East Texas for rural schools, African American schools. Primarily, the program was started by Julius Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington, and they got together and decided that they could fund adequate school buildings for African American children. They built about over 500 schools in Texas, and right here in Smith County, they had 17 Rosenwald schools.
Well, that's amazing. And I know that this initiative has been referred to as one of the most impactful. That's amazing. I know that this initiative has been referred to as one of the most important initiatives in advancing Black history amongst our education system. And so you brought a sheet of paper here showing, will you show that to the viewers?
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about what you brought and the schools here.
Well, the display that we have at the museum, and also you mentioned partnerships. We're partnering with the Tyler Library. We have our Rosenwald exhibit set up there at the lobby at the Tyler Library. And we also have an exhibit over in Longview at the Longview Library that has the Gregg County schools on display. Our map is a display of a 1932 Texas survey of all the counties and all the schools. And this is just a map that locates all African American schools that were in Tyler in 1932. All of these are in communities that were established pretty much after the Civil War, and those are still there today. The schools are pretty much gone, but they still have churches and cemeteries that exist in those communities. So we want to bring an awareness that these locations existed. We want to see if we can find teachers who taught, students who went to these schools, and get together to see what we can uncover historically. We're looking for pictures, we're looking for information. Anything that you might have regarding these schools would be extremely helpful for the museum and for our Rosenwald program.
Right.
And as you know, during slavery, African American children were not allowed to get an education. So after slavery, the Civil War, this is where the Rosenwald schools came into focus, to give the African American students an opportunity to get an education.
Right. It's an amazing opportunity. So I think this is the perfect segue for you to walk us through the brief history of Black education and the Rosenwald Schools in Texas.
Okay. How does this hold it?
Is that how you know?
Oh, that might work, actually.
Let's see.
Go camera one.
Here we go. Okay. Greg or Gloria, do you want to walk us through?
This is a part of our exhibit. We have this on display at the museum, and we also have a larger version of it over at the Tyler Library. And this is the story of a brief story of Julius Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington, and the programs that they put together to establish school buildings throughout Texas, Smith County in Texas, for the education programs.
Okay, that's great. So it's Booker T and Mr. Rosenwald.
This is Mr. Rosenwald, and this is Mr. Booker T. Washington.
Okay, that's great.
No relation there.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder how those two partnered
We
up.
don't know that for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so now you're going to walk us through what is this prop here?
This is just a location map of Rosenwald Schools, the density of Rosenwald Schools in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. There are quite a few throughout the region. The database for all these schools are housed at the Fisk University. They're developing a digital database where we can search and find information about how these schools were established, the criteria, and all the communities where they were originally built.
Okay.
And the Rosenwald marker that we will be unveiling tomorrow, this Saturday, it came from or through by an award from the Jewish American Historical Society for Preservation. And so the unveiling of the marker for tomorrow is going to be great and beneficial. It has a lot of information, so we're encouraging anyone out there that wants to come by. It's a free ceremony. Come by the Texas African American Museum. As I said earlier, we're located at 309 West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and participate in the ceremony for tomorrow.
Right.
And that also came through by the help of Mr. Greg Muckelroy here. As I said, he's been a beneficial asset to the Texas African American Museum, and I want to thank him.
Right.
Thank you, Gloria.
Yeah, thank you both. It's both impactful and meaningful that all of our kids receive an adequate education. And so you mentioned earlier, I just want to make sure we give everybody, attribute everybody their credit. The Jewish American Society for Historic Preservation is involved in this partnership. Are there any other organizations in the East Texas area or outside of here that have helped bring this to life?
Well, this whole program, the biggest portion of this program is funded through a grant from the National Trust for Historic Preservation out of Washington, D.C. And they donated $2,000 for us to develop the artwork for this part of the exhibit. Jerry Klinger was the benefactor for the Jewish program to develop the standard marker that we're going to dedicate tomorrow.
Okay.
And Jerry found out about us through social media.
Oh, well, that's good.
And one day I saw an email from Jerry Klinger wanting to alert us to this type of events that's going around. And so many different nonprofits has been funded through this program. And so we're just excited that he's thought enough of us.
Right, exactly. How could you not think enough of people that are trying to empower our youth? So
Yes.
is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want the community to know about the historical event tomorrow or Saturday? Yes.
Well, this is
Yep.
not
Tomorrow.
this is not the ending of the Rosenwald project.
Okay.
Greg is working with other communities to get the information around about the Rosenwald School.
Okay. So to open more schools, or what is your goal?
Create awareness. We have schools all over East Texas. Primarily, I started my work with Gregg County and identified pretty much all of the school locations in Gregg County. And we have schools that we work with the schools in Harrison County. I'm a member of the Gregg County Historic Commission and a member of the Smith County Historic Society. And our goal is to identify as many of these locations as we can, get as much information as we can about their history, any photographs that anybody may have, or anything that they can offer, letters that's unique to that program. We do have quite a few teachers who are still living who taught at those schools, and tons of students who went to those schools. So we'll have a sign-up book at the museum where anybody comes through that they can sign up and let us know how we can get in touch with them or how they can get in touch with us as we do this. It's an ongoing program. The next thing, after we finish displaying in the library, I hope that we can set this up at the Glass Center for a little while, maybe set up at Texas College, Jarvis College. Again, the HCBUs were very instrumental in educating teachers to teach at all these, not just the Rosenwald schools, but all African American schools in East Texas.
Right.
And I must say that my grandfather down in deep East Texas, Jasper, Texas, was an educator. And the school that he taught at is still standing in the community that he taught. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it is great. Okay, so for the community, the historical event will take place tomorrow at 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m. And will you tell us the address one more time?
309 West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Okay.
The unveiling of the Rosenwald School marker on the property of the Texas African American Museum.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better. So please join the Texas African American Museum, Gloria and Greg, as they make this day impactful for the history of Rosenwald, and also as they keep forging forward and empowering our youth. Thank you.